What is up everyone, hope you're doing great. So today I wanted to show you how I made a fire lo-fi beat using only stock plugins and sounds from FL20. So yeah, let's get to it. First of all, I'm gonna start with the melody. The first sound I used was this electric piano right here, and yeah, here are the chords that I laid down. So yeah, as you can tell, I took some notes from the chords and I added them an octave higher to get more dynamics. I also strummed the chords to give that realistic feel, and I also randomized the velocity of the chords to make them sound more warm. I didn't add any effects to it. So yeah, let's get to the second sound. This time I used a flute preset from the MIDI library inside of Flex, and it is pretty much the same chords, but this time they are quantized and they sound like this. Once again, I didn't add any effects to it. The next sound is from GMS. I can't really remember which preset I used, but yeah, pretty much I took the same chords and I duplicated them an octave higher to get this fuller sound, and here is how it sounds. And yeah, that gives a really nice ambience to the chords. Next up, I used this harp preset from Flex, once again from the MIDI library pack, and I came up with these very simple notes. Now this time I actually added an effect, and this is Fruity Convolver, which is a really fire stock reverb VST, and I just used the default preset and I increased the wet knob bit, and it sounds like this. Next up, I took this vocal sample from the library of FL. I tweaked the envelopes like this to make sure that I have full control of the length of the sample. And yeah, I came up with this really simple pattern. The only effect that I added on this vocal sample is this reverb 2, and it sounds like this. And yeah, next up what I did was I routed all of my melodic parts to a melody bus, and I added a bunch of presets. Okay, so the first effect I added was this humanizer preset from Patcher, and it makes it sound like this. As you can tell, it gives it this really nice detune effect that you hear all the time on lo-fi. Next up, I added the radio preset from EQ2, and they sound like this. Next up, I added Fruity Chorus. This time I used the default preset and took down the mix knob a bit to blend the effect, and it sounds like this. And at last I added this stereo enhancer, tweaked the phase offset knob to the left to separate the melody from the drums, and here is how everything sounds right now. Okay, moving on to the drums, let's go to the first sound. It's this attack clap right here. And I actually added an EQ too. Once again, I think the radio preset, and here is how it sounds with the EQ on. Next up, I used this perk right here. I tweaked the attack a little bit to make it sound smoother, and here is how the pattern sounds. Next up we have this hi-hat sound, which I also tweaked the attack a little bit to make it sound smoother, and it is this really simple pattern. As you can tell, I lowered the velocity of every other note to add some bounce to it. Next up we have this kick right here, and here is the pattern right here. Okay, now for the bass, I used the classic 80 from the FL's instrument, and here is the pattern that I came up with. For the effects, I started with this white noise right here, which I reversed, and I connected those two together, and they sound like this. I layered them with this crash right here, and also this white noise, which is also an impact as well. And I routed all of these effects to an effect bus, and I added a lot of reverb. I took down the dry knob completely to make it sound more ambient, and together they sound like this. The last effect that I used was this sample right here, which I chopped, and it sounds like this. And I sent it to a mixer track, and I added EQ2, and now it sounds like this. That way I was able to create some type of vinyl sound because I couldn't find any stock vinyl sound inside FL. Okay, so that was everything I used for this beat. I'm gonna play the final result at the end as usual. The point of this video was to show you that you can actually use a bunch of stock sounds from FL to create some fire music in case you can't afford any third-party VSTs. If you found it useful, make sure you subscribe and like, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.